You think it's okay to sexualize children at drag stripper shows?
I don't think the children are being sexualized if they go to a drag show. No, it was recently revealed you spent campaign donations at a strip club. Is that because you're so obviously lying?
Okay. I'm so obviously lying?
Yeah, just tell me the truth.
You white liberals have a lot of nerve.
That's identity politics.
You white liberal.
Welcome back to Rattlesnake TV, guys. In this video, we're going to watch leftist David Pakman take on Republican-endorsed Senate candidate Royce White. Now, this one gets very spicy, but first of all, let's give a little bit of context into Royce, because I hadn't heard of him before this. He made his name as a professional basketball player, was meant to play in the NBA, but didn't end up playing because of some complications around an anxiety disorder to do with flying. He also had a pro MMA fight after basketball, and now he is in politics, and apparently never far away from drama.
You once posted on your Twitter, now X, bio, that you are, among other things, sexist, misogynistic, homophobic, transphobic, and anti-Semitic.
Based?
Are you any or all of those things?
I mean, that's just ridiculous. I was posting a list of all of the things I had been called that were ridiculous. That was the intention of that post. And for people not to, I mean, I refer to myself as a blackface cisgender man. I don't talk like that. These are obviously things that people had said about me, and each one of them is as ridiculous as the next. I'm none of those things, actually.
Oh, he was just joking. That's good. Anyways, now on to the opening part where Pakman is his usual smug self.
Today we welcome to the program Royce White. Royce is a Republican running for the U.S. Senate seat. Actually, Amy Klobuchar's seat, interestingly enough. Royce has been endorsed by Steve Bannon and Alex Jones in the Minnesota Republican Party. Also hosts the Please Call Me Crazy podcast, available on YouTube. Royce, if I understand correctly, in 2020 you wrote in Tulsi Gabbard, but you're behind Trump currently. Is that right?
That is correct.
So listen, you came to my attention in a clip I talked about the other day, where you said one of the issues you find right now is that women have become, quote, too mouthy. Tell me about that. How did you come to believe that?
Well, first of all, I was being humorous.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, no, I was being pretty humorous. I'm kind of a sick puppy. I got a sort of unique humor. But I will say that it is my opinion, but I think even more so a fact that the left has weaponized identity politics in our current political culture, and that the identities of women, the LGBTQ, blacks, and Jews are all sort of used in a similar fashion to manufacture consent, that being an American citizen isn't so much that important anymore. And so
give me an example of that. Give me an example of that. So let's just pick one of those, for example.
Well, let's take all four, because they're all four fruit from the same poisonous tree.
Well, but just so that it's clear to the audience, let's just pick one as an example to show kind of your line of reasoning. How has female identity been weaponized in order to show that being an American citizen isn't important?
Well, number one, the feminist movement and the women's rights movement have been clumped into a more global citizen-based ideology, that we are all one global citizenship, and the women's rights movement is at the helm of that, much by their own powerful organization, grassroots, not only here in the country, but all around the world.
If that were the case, though, Royce, and I'm just trying to understand this, I want this to be a conversation.
But wait a second. But what I'm saying is, and let me be even more specific.
Yeah.
The prevailing consensus around the women's rights movement and the feminist movement are ideas such as believe all women. That was popular with the Me Too movement. And then you have an even more pervasive idea that in general, and it's said casually, but it's said with a lot of emphasis and potency, let's say, that men are not useful, and that women are the women in their existence in this country politically right now today, but sort of all around the world, are nothing more than a byproduct of a tyrannical patriarchy. And by that definition, or by that thinking, that men are more so a hindrance on society and useless.
Who says that? Who says men aren't useful? Give me a name.
Well, I mean, for one is Anna Navarro, self-described Republican centrist Anna Navarro.
Anna Navarro says that men aren't useful?
Anna Navarro sat right up there on The View with Joy Behar and Whoopi Goldberg and the rest of them, and she made a joke about men not being useful except for gay men because they're very good at gossip and accessorizing.
But
She said it right there
we
on national
started this
television.
interview with you saying, oh, what you said about women being mouthy is a joke. You're conceding what Ana Navarro said is a joke. And so you're one example.
Well, no, I don't
Hold
think
on
it's a
second.
joke.
Let me get the question out.
I don't
Royce.
know. I don't think
Hold on
it's a
second,
joke.
Royce. Hold on. You
No,
just
wait
said
a
it's a
second.
joke.
Let's
You just
be
said
clear.
it's a joke.
No, I didn't. I said what I said was said in humor, but it had a lot of validity to it. I don't think what Ana Navarro said was a joke, even though it was said in a joking setting.
How
I
do you
actually
know it
think
wasn't a joke then?
No, I said I don't think it's a joke.
Okay.
Just like people would say they don't think what I said is a joke. I have the right to think that. My point is that there is a growing ideology that you can see by looking at social media, which is a good temperature gauge of what people think, obviously, because you're bringing up something I said that was posted on social media.
Well, I don't want to get bogged down in this necessarily, but it sounds, Royce,
No, it's
like
not.
you're
No,
one
it's not
example.
bogged down. It's
sounds
important
like
detail.
It sounds like you're one detail of the prevailing view of the feminist movement being men aren't useful is something Ana Navarro said jokingly. Is that right?
No. Nana Navarro, just like you're trying to represent my views, or let's not say you, let's say the mainstream media has tried to represent my view about women in general based on one soundbite from one podcast as a general sort of
yeah, but
picture
forget
of,
about that, Royce.
let's not forget about it. No, let's not forget about it. If you're going to keep interrupting me, then I'm going to keep interrupting you. What I'm saying is that the mainstream media, no, you're saying it's not going anywhere. I'm explaining it perfectly fine. The mainstream media is trying to depict or paint a picture of a rising, let's say, misogynist America First movement based on my one soundbite. But then you turn around and say, well, you can't talk about all feminist ideology based on Ana Navarro. What are we talking about? I'm not.
No,
first of all, I'm not doing that.
Let's see if we can reframe, Royce, and then we'll move on. Okay. You've sort of been leading this, okay? You identified a number of groups. Hold on a second. Hold on. Let me just get the question out. And then if you disagree with the question, then the audience can judge for themselves. Okay. You indicated a number of groups. You named women, and you named Jews, and you named others
Blacks
that are making
and the
it so
LGBTQ.
that being an American citizen is no longer super important. We focused in. Hold on a second, Royce.
Women,
I gotta be
the
able to get the question out if we
LGBTQ,
can.
and Jews. I want to be clear.
Hold on a sec.
Don't say
named
and
a
other
number of
groups. Don't say and other groups. The four groups were blacks, the LGBTQ, women, and Jews.
Yes. We focused in on women.
Yes.
And I asked you for examples. And the one example that you have provided to justify the claim you made is something Ana Navarro said on The View.
No, just an example.
Well, give me another example. Who are the people saying that men are not useful?
Oh, well, they're not. Well, that just happened to be what Ana Navarro said specifically.
But you said that that's
ideology.
A narrative. Who says it?
The ideology is that men represent the remnant of a tyrannical patriarchy, and by default, the usefulness of men is in question at a societal-wide basis.
Okay. I don't want to use all our time on this, but it sounds like we're not going to get any more examples, and the audience can kind of judge that for themselves.
Okay, so a few things to get through here. First of all, the way that he started that interview was just so cringeworthy. And if any man ever spoke to me like that in real life, I can't guarantee you that there wouldn't be just a slight temptation for just a little backhand. Just a little one. No, I'm joking. I would obviously never do that. But next, David Pakman asked him for an example about how women are basically being corrupted. And this is the example that he gave.
So why do you think that is?
Because men are useless. I mean, and by the way, I want to differentiate between straight men and gay men, because I think I would die without gay men. Nobody can gossip like gay men. Nobody can help you accessorize like gay men. Nobody can help you keep you from doing harm to yourself like gay men. My husband, it takes a village of women to make sure that he's not emaciated, starving, and living in his own filth. He can,
Really?
you know.
Yeah.
How about
divorce?
You could pay somebody to do that. We're not talking about that. What about the inner life of a man? That's what this is about.
I need my man 3 to 4 times a week. And
good for you guys.
And then the rest of the time I need a wife.
So that's a bunch of women on the biggest female talk show in America. God help anybody who actually watches that. Clearly, yet retardedly, stating that men are useless, we have no need for them, and basically referring to them as incompetent, filthy pigs. This to the laughter and applause of the panel and audience.
Good for you guys.
I mean, you may say that, oh, we were just joking about it, but just because you're joking doesn't mean that you don't actually believe that. Clearly, this is how they feel about men, and it can be seen in the subject of the actual conversation. And the subject of the conversation is this viral video.
Do we need men?
No.
Do we need men?
No.
No?
We don't need short men.
Do you need a man?
No.
Do you need a man?
Oh, God.
Do you need a man?
No.
Do we need men?
No.
Why?
No.
Do we need men?
No.
No? Do we need men?
We need men to make us stupid.
Do we need men? Do we need men? Do women need men in this world? Do we need men?
No.
Why?
Because we can be strong, independent women.
Do we need women?
Yes,
We do. Why?
these women are awesome.
Do we need women?
Of course.
Why?
you do need women.
They're beautiful.
Do we need women?
Women make us feel compassionate and affectionate.
Do we need women?
Of course we do.
Now, this clip has been discussed quite a few times, and when normal people talk about it, they tend to talk about it in the sense that these women are completely delusional. And this actually reflects quite a concerning consensus among young women regarding how they feel about men, and that this is a product of feminism directly. They are taught that the absolute pinnacle is to be a strong, independent, lonely woman, and to even say that you need a man in your life takes away from your strong, independent woman status. Whereas the men in this video reflect the societal norm, the way that men feel, which is that of course we need women. They are an irreplaceable complement to our lives, and without them, life stops. But The View, with their usual low IQ take, will look at this clip and they'll say, look at all these young, independent women saying that they don't need a man. And look at all these men saying that they need women. This must mean that women are more important than men and that men are useless. I mean, the example provided by Royce there was absolutely perfect, because that clip is a spot-on encapsulation of the problem with feminism. And it goes to show just how deep it runs as well. But then one of the other View panelists comes and says this, and I've seen people saying that this is somehow like the based take on the panel.
Broadly speaking, I feel like men have proven largely useless. Like, I think in the political moment, the people who are
Guys, don't hold
saying
back.
what needs to be said in my party, it's all women. The very few men, with the exception of Mike Pence and a few others, are saying what they need to. But in life, like, I need my husband. I don't know if I need any other men, but he is irreplaceable.
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
But that's what we're all saying. We like our husbands. We just don't need men beyond that.
Yeah, wait till you're married 20 years and you'll see how replaceable
The
they
reason
are.
that women
No, that's not a good take either. Women in politics isn't something we should be aspiring to. Just look at Anna Navarro here as example A1.
Men are useless.
And yes, you need more than your husband. Literally everything that your pampered ass takes for granted every single day was built and maintained by men, including that constitution of yours. But Pacman doesn't like this good example, and he goes to twist his words and use his bad faith tactics by saying, give me an example. And then when he gives a really good example, oh, so your only example, just bad faith 101. And last bit on this, it's obvious what Royce meant there when he was talking about humor, in the sense that people can say things in a humorous way but still mean it. But you have to be careful with a guy like Pacman, because he's much more interested in a gotcha moment, and he's much more interested in twisting the narrative to try and get some sort of a contrived contradiction than he is in the truth. And now on to the next, where they discuss believe all women.
Hey, you can pick anybody you want. The whole Me Too movement was based on the claim that we should believe all women. Do you think we should believe all women?
Well, that we've already talked about. It's a completely different question, and it has to do with what is the responsibility of police to
Wait a second. Wait a second.
It has nothing whatever.
Wait a second.
whatever
It's
to
not
do
a
with the
different question.
usefulness of being
It's
an
not a
American
different
citizen.
question at all. It certainly does, because there are fundamental rights of being an American citizen, one of which has always been the presumption of innocence. Number one. So there is complete merit to bring it into question when we talk about American citizenship.
Royce,
But,
you understand
again,
that when police investigate crimes, they investigate crimes, but that doesn't take away the presumption of innocence in a court of law. Like, this is basic legal stuff, Royce.
No. It takes away the presumption of innocence in the court of public opinion.
But this is crazy.
It takes away the presumption of innocence in the court of public opinion, which now in today's world can be just as dangerous as the opinion in the court of law. And even for
false rape claims are 0.02% of all sexual assault claims.
According to you. According to
crime reporting from police departments all over the country.
According to you and
the police departments.
According to you, then why don't they bring more claims?
Guys, just before we continue the clip, if you like what I'm doing here and if you get value from these videos, don't forget to smash that like button and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Back to it.
Who?
Why don't more make it to the courtroom?
What claims?
Because they lack evidence. The reason why police departments say, first of all, again, you're trying to sidetrack me and you keep interrupting me. You brought me on your show.
You created this sidetrack.
You brought me on your show. You brought me on your show.
And we're not
asked me
talking
about a question about women.
About.
I'm answering a question about feminists and the feminist movement.
Hold on, Royce. Royce, you
the point is when you assume that all women are telling the truth, or that we should believe all women on face value, by default.
I don't know anyone who has said that.
The whole movement of the whole Me Too movement was based on this idea that believe all women.
That's your assertion. I don't believe that to be true.
Oh, okay. Well, you let your viewers decide then. Let's go to the next question.
Trust but verify is the view that I've always had.
Believe all women was the commercial, widespread commercial. Believe all women was the widespread commercial and cultural sentiment from the Me Too movement, 150,000%.
You know, Royce, you sidetracked us on believe all women, right? You brought it up out of nowhere.
The believe all women idea is a part of the claim that women have become mouthy.
Okay. Let me ask about a couple of other things.
And I will say, in that vein, when women are allowed to say things about men with no boundaries or no constraints whatsoever, and it's culturally accepted across American culture and across political culture, that is, in my opinion, more than a valid reason to be able to say, hey, women are getting out of control. And I do think radical feminists are getting out of control. I should have been more specific, but
I get the
I thought I was
point
being
that
humorous.
you think women are out of control. I got it.
No. I said radical feminists are out of control. Be clear.
Believe all women isn't something that's echoed? I mean, give me a break. During the Me Too movement, how do you think people were received? Or how did you observe that people were received who dared to question the allegations? I mean, let's have a quick recap on how Christine Blasey Ford's accusations were dealt with by the media. Accusations, by the way, that apparently were meant to have happened about 100 years ago.
Not only do women like Dr. Ford, who bravely comes forward, need to be heard, but they need to be believed. Guess who's perpetuating all of these kinds of actions? It's the men in this country. And I just want to say to the men in this country, just shut up and step up.
Let me just say right at the outset, I believe Dr. Ford. I believe the survivor.
I believe her. Many, many, many Americans believe her. Many, many women in America who have been taken advantage of certainly believe her.
I believe her because she's telling the truth.
Maybe this country is a lot more racist and sexist than we thought.
These white men, old, by the way, are not protecting women. They're protecting a man who is probably guilty.
Dr. Christine Blasey Ford is a courageous woman.
I want to thank you for your courage, and I want to tell you I believe you.
So this is another thing that's definitely happening, and also another thing that is a direct byproduct of feminism, because feminism pits men against women, and it paints men as morally lesser than the benevolent woman. It's an ideology and a worldview where men are viewed as patriarchal oppressors and women are viewed as helpless little victims. This is exactly where all of these BS ideas come from, and that's why we need to make patriarchy in its truest, most benevolent form based again. And now onto the next bit where they get into drag shows for kids.
And they are. That's why they're bringing their children to drag stripper shows.
Let me ask about a couple of things.
Do you think that's okay? Do you think it's okay to sexualize children at drag stripper shows?
I don't think the children are being sexualized if they go to a drag show. No, I just don't think that that's the sexualization.
You don't think children are being? Would it be okay for me as a grown adult male to take underage kids to a regular strip club?
I don't think they're allowed. No.
So why are they allowed to do it in but why aren't they allowed?
Royce.
Why aren't they allowed? Is it because of the alcohol or because of the sexualization?
I don't know the laws around strip clubs. I couldn't tell you. But Royce, if
maybe you should learn them though, because you're talking about drag shows. You have an opinion about the drag shows, and you say that's completely fine.
Royce, you brought them
but you have an opinion about.
I'm going to have to mute you, Royce. I'm going to have to mute you.
Okay.
You're bringing up topics and then telling me I brought them up. This isn't a way to be interviewed as a serious
I didn't say
person.
that. I didn't say you brought it up. I said you had an opinion about it.
You told me I brought up believe all women and that I brought up drag shows.
No, I didn't.
Brought those issues
no,
up.
I did not say that. They'll be able to watch it back and see for themselves how it went. I didn't say you brought it up. I brought it up. I'm going to bring up every topic I want to bring up.
Oh, so
you white liberals are not going to tell you. Yeah, I brought up the feminist movement and I brought up the drag stripper shows as an example.
Can we continue the interview?
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So these interviews become very tiresome when it's just interruptions and word games and straw mans and trying to get a gotcha moment. It completely derails the conversation and doesn't allow for any sort of coherent back and forth dialogue. That's why I much prefer these sorts of debates with a mediator. But on this point of drag shows for kids, anytime somebody is asked about their opinion about little kids being subject to drag queen shows, if their answer isn't an unequivocal condemnation of that, then you should never trust that person, especially not around your kids. That person is clearly an ideologue and morally corrupt. In what universe can it ever be acceptable for a little child to go to a show where there is a man who is dressing up as a woman as part of his weird sexual fetish and dancing sexually in front of them?
You are such an awesome mom for bringing their kid out to a family-friendly drag show, ladies and gentlemen. Are you confused yet? Minty fresh.
If there is an argument for that, I'd love to hear it. But I mean, that being not okay should be like the bottom level, where all sane people obviously know that that's not okay, and we don't even need to really have that conversation. The conversation should really start at what the consequences are for that sort of behavior. How much prison time, etc. Now on to the next part about some controversies with campaign finances.
You brought up strip clubs. It was recently revealed you spent campaign donations at a strip club. Is that true?
That's not true.
Okay. It's been sourced very well by the Daily Beast. Where did they get this information?
The Daily Beast, first of all, the Daily Beast is not a good source. That's number one. But number two, it wasn't well sourced even in that article at all. It was a reference to a campaign filing with the FEC that was not done properly.
Who didn't do the filing properly?
Whoever was in charge of the filing.
And who was that?
Well, there were a number of people, I would assume, who were in charge of getting that accounting done, but it wasn't.
You don't know who the people are doing your accounting?
Oh, yeah, I know exactly. Yeah, I know who they are. Do you want me to list the entire list of people who worked on it?
Yeah.
So you have time for me to go through a list of people who worked on the filing, but you don't have time to talk about the details of the political issues you want to discuss?
Well, how many people is it?
Give me a break. Who do you people think you're fooling?
I don't think we're fooling anybody.
Who do you people think you're fooling?
So the people who prepared the reports.
I answered the question.
I'm trying to understand it, Royce. The people who prepared the reports.
The answer is no. The answer to your question is no.
I haven't even asked the question yet.
You did. You asked, did I spend campaign finance money on strippers?
And you responded, and now I want to ask a follow-up.
Okay.
Your claim is there were filings which said you spent campaign funds at a strip club, but they were incorrect filings.
No, they didn't say that I spent the funds at a strip club. Or no, let's say they didn't say that I spent the funds on strippers.
But it was spent at a strip club.
Well, strip club they sell food at the strip club, don't they?
So you've spent the money on food at a strip club. Is that more accurate?
You seem to be very unfamiliar with strippers and strip clubs and drag strip shows. So I'll inform you, maybe you aren't informed, that they do have food at strip clubs.
So what you're saying is the money was spent at a strip club.
Did you know that though? Did you know that?
I know strip clubs have restaurants.
Have you ever been to a strip club?
One time.
Did you like the food?
No.
You got to go to better strip clubs then.
Okay. But so what you're saying is you did spend the money at strip clubs, but on food. Is that right?
Well, I'm not saying that I spent the money. I'm saying that there was a filing on my FEC report that shouldn't have been there and potentially should have been reimbursed by somebody who may have been at the strip club, but that there is food at the strip club. So to say it was spent on strippers is not based on factual evidence.
I didn't say that.
Especially not from the day you did.
I said strip club, not strippers.
No, well, okay. Well,
that's what's implied
by the Daily Beast.
It's the same thing you're saying, right? So we agree.
But that's what's been implied by the Daily Beast and other people as well.
Money was spent at a strip club by someone else in your campaign on food.
That's what's been implied by the Daily Beast and other mainstream media outlets as well.
And what's the truth?
I just told you.
So, I mean, this doesn't look very good. And if the reports are true, then it would suggest that there have been thousands of dollars out of Mr. Royce White's campaign finances spent on limousines and a strip club in Miami. Now, for those of you who've worked in the corporate world and you understand the notion of schmoozing, you'll know that when the donors are in town or when the overseas investors or whoever else you would like to show a good time, generally the party ends up at the strip club. And now that's not my style. I absolutely detest strip clubs, and I would rather swallow a cactus than spend any time in one of those hellholes. But I'm not ignorant as to what happens when the suits get together. I mean, I think that's just how it goes. He's making the case in another video that I saw that they had an event catered food-wise by the strip club, which is very on the nose because strip clubs aren't really normally known for their catering. And if you did want to spend your campaign finance on some catering, you'd probably think twice before doing it from a strip club just because of the optics. So what my gut tells me here is that none of that is true, and that perhaps the most likely explanation is that somebody has just gone out and painted the town red with campaign finances, and that is obviously completely unacceptable.
All right. No, it's not all right. I'm out of cash. Hey, you take bank cards?
I mean, just imagine that you had faith in your local representative and you donated them some money out of your pocket, your hard-earned money, and then you later find out that your hard-earned cash went into the G-string of some hoe in a Miami strip club. That stings, but can't go on gut feelings. If he says it's catering, then I guess you just wait to see when the facts come out. But David was right to be pressing him and holding his feet to the fire with that one.
Someone else bought food at a strip club with campaign funds.
No, I told you about the FEC filing. You seem to have a lot of time for this one.
Well, it's because you're so obviously lying.
Okay. I'm so obviously lying.
Yeah, just tell me the truth. So did a staffer spend money on food at a strip club?
You white liberals have a lot of nerve.
That's identity politics.
You white liberals hate when black men vote Republican. You hate when black men say that they like being American citizens. You hate when black men say that we want to have a border. You hate when black men say stop sending our money to the Ukraine. And you go to the WWE politics to try and defend your latent racism. That's what it is.
Hold on a second, Royce. Aren't you against identity politics?
Absolutely.
So what are you talking about white liberals for, especially when
what do you
I'm
mean?
a Hispanic Jewish immigrant from Argentina?
Yeah, right, but you have a white liberal ideology. That's what's funny about it.
Oh, that's something different. All right, Royce, listen, when you start hurling stuff around like that, we do have to end the interview.
You have a post-World War II democratic liberal order, white liberal ideology.
All right. The man who denounces identity politics is playing identity politics.
No, I'm not.
Royce, I really appreciate you being on today.
Your latent racism is obvious. Make sure you post the interview. Don't be a coward. And feel free to have me back on anytime so we can talk in detail where you don't cut me off. I like this kind of stuff. You people don't.
I can assure you.
You people hope that every black Republican or black America First that shows up is going to kowtow and sort of, curl up and run into the corner when you cut people off. That don't bother me.
Royce, I can assure you,
women have.
Royce, you're on a new topic now.
Feminists,
I can assure you, we will
radical
post the
feminists
interview,
in this country have certainly gotten way beyond the pale in terms of their ideology.
Royce,
100,000%.
You have my word.
You think it's okay to take little kids to drag stripper shows, but you don't think it's okay for grown men to get the chicken wings from strip clubs.
Royce,
you don't think that that's weird?
It sounds like a campaign finance violation. It's not my opinion. But Royce, we got to end the interview.
You can get food for donors. You can get food for donors from anywhere in the country you want.
We got to end the interview.
I could cater it from Mr. Child's, or I could get chicken wings from a strip club. That doesn't matter. But you want to take little kids to strip clubs, drag strip clubs.
All right,
and you think that's okay.
Best of luck with the campaign, okay?
Godspeed to you.
All right,
Don't be a coward.
So you have to be very careful when it comes to not contradicting yourself in these debates. And I would say that Royce needs to probably reevaluate the way he views identity and politics, because I can kind of see an internal contradiction there. I mean, identity politics in itself is a term that I like less and less as time goes on, because it's just so easily distorted and skewed. Because first and foremost, identity is important when it comes to politics. You can't take identity out of politics. And also, identity politics is played by both sides. You see it on the far right and you see it on the far left. But what we've been seeing more recently is the right wing having a response to the left wing, who have been weaponizing race, sexuality, and sex to no end for political gain. And then the right come along and say, okay, well, if this is the game that you want to play, it's not going to go well for you, but let's do it. We wanted to have a civil conversation about merit and about character, but now we're on the defense about whiteness and about what a woman is and more. And I get what he's saying about the white liberal thing. I mean, this is a mentality of predominantly white liberals who claim to be champions of the oppressed and champions of the people of color, But then as soon as they have a conservative view, they turn on them and slander them. This is a fact. And this is actual racism. When you tell somebody what views and opinions they must have due to the color of their skin, as opposed to the form of racism that liberals will often lob at conservatives in the form of, well, pretty much them just being white. But just to wrap that point up, I mean, if you come out swinging at the start of the interview and you say that liberals are weaponizing identity politics, and if you want to play the identity politics bad game, you can't then at the very end of the same interview start calling him a white liberal racist. You've literally just given the man a layup.
By Lively, the run by Kyrie. Oh my goodness.
And just quickly also, in the wake of George Floyd's death, Royce hosted this rally.
Thank you everybody for being out here today. When we started this at the U.S. Bank, I don't know how many hours ago now, it was just a handful of athletes that wanted to go to the front lines.
I mean, I don't know the full context around that clip, but they're blocking off a highway. They got people on a knee. They're doing the fist raise. This is like quintessential BLM cultural Marxist type behavior. And maybe at the time he thought this would be some sort of a unifying civil rights protest, but really, it just plays into the BLM psychosis that the world was under. And I would suspect maybe that his opinions have changed since then. But taking those isolated events like George Floyd that have nothing to do with race, as we know from the evidence that came out after, and making a big racial problem out of it, feeds into the exact type of identity politics that conservatives generally tend to rally against. So, I mean, obviously identity and politics can never be separated. In the leftist sense, though, it means that they see absolutely everything through the lens of race, sex, and sexuality, to the point where it makes them delusional. So that's when it's taken too far. But I also do understand that there are ways in which identity is a healthy part of politics, such as a certain race or sex, ensuring that they are recognized politically in whatever capacity. So, I mean, that's a wormhole for a different video. But as for today, guys, that's it from me. If you want to find my links below, you can hit those. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, if you're getting value, right here. And if you'd like to watch another video, right here. Till next time, I'm Jake. This is RattlesnakeTV, keeping you armed and dangerous.